So in addition to the boundaries, in addition to the stretching beyond your comfort zone in terms of how many clients you can hold, I also want you to be really zoned into your beliefs about money and beliefs about what you believe you can have at this stage in your life, at this stage in your business. You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm so happy to have you here as always. And how are we this week? We are on part 2 of the 10K to 20K month series. And this episode is all about holding more and expanding your capacity. But before we dive in, I just want to remind you guys that I'm doing my birthday sale. And when you're listening to this, it's the day before my 32nd birthday. And I have been running the birthday sale from now until this Friday, March 22nd at midnight. Okay, so this means that you get 32% off everything from my courses to the bundles to coaching with me to the Fraud Squad Mastermind for 32% off. So if you for some reason have not jumped on this birthday sale, I highly advise that you do. You can go to the link in my show notes and hit the click here link, and it will take you to the birthday sale page where you can take your pick of getting 32% off everything in my offer suite. And halfway through this episode, I'm going to be dropping a very big announcement about a new offer that is coming to you, and I am so excited to do that. But first, we're going to dive into the episode, which is all about the 10K to 20 month series, the second part to it, and that is holding more and expanding your capacity. So the reason why I'm talking about holding more and expanding your capacity in this episode and why it's so important when it comes to making 10 to 20K months is because we are not robots, okay? So I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I was a part of a container where there was a very regimented way of growing your business, a very clear step-by-step. This is how you grow to multiple six figures to $1 million. And it was very much in the way of this is how you build a company, right? Now, this is something that could be on your radar if you are somebody who envisions that you want to have a big team behind you, you want to have co-coaches, you want to have a lot of contractors who work under you and help you build up your company. And that is completely okay, completely fine. But I just know that that is not something that I desired. I want my coaching business to be the reason why I live the life the way that I do. And I don't really desire to lead a whole shit ton of people in my business. I have my amazing virtual assistant. Shout out to Sheila. She's amazing. And when I think about people working under me, I just don't really desire to have a ton of co-coaches coaching my clients. Now, that could change in the future, but I just know that in this season, I've made over $500,000 in my business, and it's simple. And I desire a simple business. I desire a business where I'm checking in with my clients, I'm checking in with my community, I'm creating content, and I have somebody who can help me with some things on the back end. But I just really desire to keep things simple and clean and clear so that when people come to work with me, they know that they're coming to work with me. Now, I know that it may not always look like this in terms of when I have kids and when I decide to take on a less forward-facing role, but for now, I'm only 32 tomorrow. Like, I'm 32 years old as of tomorrow. I have my entire career to think about how I want to carry on this legacy as I get older, and that's where this episode is coming from. It's coming from a place of you want to be able to expand your income without having to hire a whole ass team, which you've heard me talk about this before too on the podcast, where I've talked about hiring an entire team, an online business manager, a sales page manager, a virtual assistant, a copywriter, all of these things because I was under the impression that that was just what was next. And that was what I was supposed to be doing. And this was a very expensive lesson that I had to learn in terms of that's not how I wanted to run my business. That's not how I wanted to run my business. It's not how I want to operate as the CEO. So if you're listening to this episode, you probably don't want to have a whole ass team either. And that is usually the case for the majority of my clients who come to work with me. And what I had to learn when I was scaling between 10 to 20K months was how to expand my own capacity and hold more. And I probably could go on and on in this episode for you about how this is not just about how many clients can I have in a container, because logistically you can have thousands and thousands in a container, but you also need to pay attention to how having a lot of clients makes you feel. Okay, so we're going to start this episode with talking about our boundaries, and this may seem like it's a very simple topic in terms of you don't answer your clients at this time or whatever. But actually enforcing your boundaries when it comes to your business and just saying that you have them are two completely different things. Because you could say, I'm not going to be in Slack from Friday to Sunday, but then you find yourself sitting on your couch and you're just like, I'll just check Slack, blah, blah, blah. And then you see a question and then you're like, well, this person really wanted me to respond. I should reach out to them, and the same can be said for going over call times, or when you have somebody blowing up your fucking Voxer chat with 35 audios and you know that this is an opportunity for your leadership to come through. But if you're a recovering people pleaser like me, you're not trying to be disliked by anybody, even and especially after they pay you. So you may not be able to expand your capacity right now or even imagine taking on more clients because of the total capacity and space that you don't believe you have, right? You don't believe you have more. And I don't think this changes by giving people less access to you, because how you are in one respect, you're going to be in the same in the other. You can say, the people that are in my one-to-one coaching are going to get full access to me in this way, but I'm only going to respond to my membership clients once a week, but you're still going to act the way that you've always acted when it comes to your clients. And if you're a people pleaser, if you're somebody who has a hard time enforcing the boundaries that you say that you want because you don't want someone to dislike you or have an opinion about you when it comes to your coaching, or have them complain and say that you aren't supporting them how they expected to be supported, then again, boundaries are going to be always easier said than done. So the first thing that I want to do is I want you to make sure that contractually or in your terms and conditions when somebody works with you, you have things outlined. Now, if you don't have a contract right now, if you don't have any terms and conditions, I really recommend that you set something up. You can literally do it on ChatGPT, and lawyers, don't come for me. This is not legal advice, but it gets the job done. But I do recommend that at some point you have some kind of contract, some legal contract, to make sure that your ass is covered when it comes to the communication with your clients. Because whatever is in my contract is usually the bare fucking minimum. I usually just put the bare minimum. So if a client ever has an issue or takes issue with how quickly I respond or whatever, I can refer them to these terms and conditions or their contract. But I do this because I almost always go above and beyond when it comes to communication that I provide to my clients inside of my containers. Now, this is also because I know that it's possible to sign more clients than I anticipate, and I don't want to set a very high expectation that I'm not able to deliver on. So in the event that there are a lot of clients in a certain container, it would not serve me to have a stipulation in the contract that I go in Slack 5 to 6 times a day. So for example, in one of my programs, I have a Slack channel, and inside of that Slack channel, it's going to be 3 times a week, at least once per day, but I'll probably be in there way more than just once a day. But I don't want to set a super high expectation that I cannot deliver on. There's something I heard on a podcast once that was you should always prepare for your worst day when it comes to scheduling and stuff like that. And I think of this too when it comes to the stipulations around your coaching and communication. Of course, when you're having a great week and you really feel like you can deliver, you can be in communication with your clients a ton of times a day, that's great. But there's also going to be some weeks where you're going to be so grateful for what you have stipulated in your contracts. And I don't want anybody to confuse this with not being somebody who delivers. I am somebody who over delivers within my coaching containers and with my clients, but I'm also a business owner. So looking at this from a business and legal perspective, it's always good to have your ass covered because clients are going to client. Okay. And going back to what I was saying earlier, you can have boundaries set in your business, but if you do not abide by them, they are pretty much useless. And as you are expanding and growing, you really need to be checking in with yourself and asking yourself if you would still be doing that kind of behavior or not abiding by a boundary if you had 10 more clients than you currently have. So being on calls for longer than the call time, or allowing a client to send you 30 Voxers in a row that you have to listen to because you really only have a small handful of clients, right? Remember that you are always setting yourself up for the next stage in your business. Listen to that again. Remember that you are always setting yourself up for the next stage in your business right now. So even if you can handle something right now, even if something feels like, well, I can do this right now because I have the time and I have the clients, you are also teaching yourself to go against your boundaries and to go against what the next level version of yourself would be doing. And let me reiterate, this does not mean that you don't answer your clients or that you're super strict about your boundaries in unique situations. Like, for example, one of my stipulations is that I'm not on Voxer on Fridays, but if I'm not doing anything and I'm just working regardless, I will go in there and respond to clients, and it's not an issue at all. And just because I have that in my contract, it doesn't mean that I can't go against it when it does serve me. Hey guys, I'm just dropping into this episode with a very exciting announcement. I am so excited to announce that I am opening a brand new program that is going to be rolling enrollment, and it is called the From Imposter to Empowered program. This is for the coach and the online service provider who is ready to take their business seriously. You are somebody who you're seeing the content, you're seeing the other coaches and service providers, and you've created a page. Maybe you've started creating some content, but you are actually ready now to start creating for your business. You are ready to start selling your offers, and you are ready to start creating between $3,000 to $5,000 a month and consistent income through signing clients and building your empire. I'm so excited to be able to offer a program for those of you who are still experiencing imposter syndrome and the mindset blocks that are getting in the way of you actually building and growing your business. In this program, you will overcome imposter syndrome, start signing clients, and move towards making $3,000 to $5,000 a month. We are doing a grand opening to the From Imposter to Empowered program on April 1st, and I will be doing a full day workshop on Friday, April 12th to welcome in the founding members into the program. So similar to the Mastermind, the Fraud Squad, this program will be open year-round, so you can enroll at any point, but there is a 6-month commitment to the program. The investment is $2,500 pay in full, or 6 payments of $444, or there is an extended payment plan of $333 for 8 months. At the link in my show notes, you'll find the waitlist for our grand opening, in which you will receive $222 off the investment and the Empowered and Effortless Sales Bundle as a bonus if you join directly from the waitlist during our grand opening. So if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram at YourCoachJill, and let's get back into the episode. Now, more strategically, when it comes to expanding your capacity and holding more, are you also looking at your systems and looking at your beliefs when it comes to taking on more clients? So, for example, you might desire more clients in your group coaching program, but you don't really have a streamlined onboarding system for them. And you also feel the need to coach every single person on the coaching call, and you spend a lot of time doing that. These are things that would need to be cleaned up, because if they're not, then you're going to be subconsciously thinking about those unique situations that you experience that are going to impact how you see your capacity. Strategically speaking as well, even though I am a coach, I'm also really skilled at creating curriculum and creating courses that can be helpful to lead my clients through a transformation without even needing to talk to me. But this is not going to be the case for every single offer that you have. Like, for example, with one-to-one coaching, obviously the transformation is going to be in the session time. But if you have a group program, if you have a course, if you have a membership, it's going to be easier to believe that your capacity can grow if you have something like a curriculum, because you're not trading your time for money. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to expanding your capacity and receiving more, sometimes you don't know what you can handle until you experience it. And this is the thing when it comes to growing your business and making more money, is you have to be okay with stretching that comfort zone. I remember when I ran a group that was way bigger than any other group I've had before, and I was really nervous about doing it. but I was just committed to figuring out how I was going to get it done in the most effective way and in a way that would help my client get the best results. And even though there were times where I did feel kind of stretched, it was not a bad thing. And this is something that we all experience when it comes to growing a business, is that if you're not at the edge of your comfort zone, you're not going to grow. If you are not pushing the edge of what you believe is comfortable, then you won't be able to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. And lastly, we can't talk about expansion if we don't talk about the expansion of making more and receiving more money. And this is more energetics and identity than anything at all. We did talk a lot about the boundaries and the strategies behind actually expanding your business to receive more clients. But if you have beliefs around the fact that you cannot have more than enough, if you have beliefs that do not support your receiving more and more through your business, there will always be a block to you actually receiving more money. I was coaching a client in the Fraud Squad, and something that we talked about was how she has always felt like she can't have more than enough, and she didn't even know where to begin when it came to stepping into the identity and the thoughts of having more than enough money every month. So for the majority of us, we have a very middle class way of looking at money and how we receive it and how we manage it. And it's very abnormal for somebody in our society to make 10 to 20K a month. And the only reason why we think it's so normal in the online space is because people talk about doing that. But we forget that the vast majority of us are surrounded by people in our lives that have never and will never even get close to hitting 10K a month. So that's why it's so important to put yourself in rooms that people are making this kind of money so you can normalize it for yourself. Because what you normalize for the subconscious is what you will see and receive for yourself. And this is why it's also really important to pay attention to your own beliefs and thoughts as you scale and as you grow. You may be preventing yourself from doing the actions you need to do, from taking the actions you need to take, because you just don't believe that you can bring in 20K a month. And it can be simple as that, because when it comes to the actual math of it all, like we talked about in the last episode, it's very simple to figure out how your offers can help you get from 10K to 20K a month, strategically speaking, as long as your offer suite supports it. So more often than not, when I'm working with clients on expanding their own capacity and receiving more, we almost always have to talk about what they believe they are worthy of receiving and what they allow themselves to receive. For me, it took a while to stabilize between 15 to 20K a month because it was just so abnormal for me to receive that amount. My subconscious wanted me to continue to freak out and feel like I didn't have enough, so it would create these avenues and these ways to spend all my money because I was uncomfortable with holding a large amount of money each month through my business. So in addition to the boundaries, in addition to the stretching beyond your comfort zone in terms of how many clients you can hold, I also want you to be really zoned into your beliefs about money and beliefs about what you believe you can have at this stage in your life, at this stage in your business. Sometimes it can be as simple as you don't believe that you're qualified enough to receive more. And even though you logistically want more money, you aren't seeing yourself as a big deal in this space. You aren't seeing yourself as somebody who creates big transformations for your clients. You're not seeing yourself as somebody who can charge 5K, 8K, 10K for your coaching. And that's the last thing that I want to leave you with today as well, is that making 10 to 20K a month at first is going to feel so weird to your nervous system. It's going to feel so weird to your brain, but you need to get your brain and your body on board with the fact that you're a big fucking deal. And if you've heard me talk about this on the podcast before, I'm sure you've heard me talk about it on Instagram as well, but you really need to step into the identity that you are somebody who is a big deal, that you are somebody that people want to learn from and hear from, and that you create amazing transformations for your clients and you get your clients results. Because if you don't have this belief, if you don't step into that identity, it's going to be hard to convince yourself that you should charge what you want to charge. It's going to be hard to convince yourself that you have the services and the offer suite that is worthy of making you 10 to 20K a month. And you are worthy of 10 to 20K months. It was never actually about if you were worthy of it, but the universe and our subconscious mind allows us to have what we believe we can have. So not only do we need to shift our businesses to support having these higher income months, but we also need to shift our beliefs and our identity so that we can be the CEOs that support the abundance that is coming to us inevitably. Okay, y'all? How does that sound? I love you. And my 32nd birthday is tomorrow. Come over on Instagram at YourCoachJill and say happy birthday. And then the birthday sale, where you can get 32% off everything in my offer suite, from bundles to courses to coaching, ends on Friday, the 22nd at midnight. And now, inside of Jillian Parrott Coaching, there is something for you no matter what level you're at. If you're looking to hit your first 5K, you'll love the From Imposter to Empowered program, which opens in just 2 weeks on April 1st. If you're between 5K to 10K months and looking to stabilize 10K months and beyond, you'll come into the mastermind, the Fraud Squad. And if you are ready for 10 to 20K months and looking to make those consistent, you're going to want to come into my one-to-one coaching. All my links are at the show notes, and my DMs are always open. Okay? I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to learn how you can work with me, where you can buy my best-selling book, You're Not Special, and how to get on my email list for free. Screenshot this episode and add it to your Instagram stories, tagging me at YourCoachJill. See you next time.